Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for the Bison Sport Leadership Series. I'm Leah Hextall, and I will be your host this evening and throughout the 5-part virtual series, which begins this evening with our session, Female Coaches Path to Success. The Bison Sport Leadership Series is designed to empower and inspire women to become leaders in sport, community, and life, and that's why I'm here tonight. Very easy to get behind. Now, normally we would meet in person over 2 days, but this year, as we know, the world has shifted and we've had to become virtual. But we are still bringing together inspirational leaders from all areas of sport to tell their personal and professional stories, offer valuable advice and guidance, and share practical tips that participants can use on and off the field. We want to welcome all of our participants tonight, and especially our friends at Bison Transport. And a few housekeeping notes before we get started. If your internet quality is poor, you can select on your screen, click here to switch stream. This will allow you to view at a lower bandwidth. Your video quality will decrease, but your audio quality should remain the same. And if you're having technical difficulties, you can click on the request help bubble on the bottom right corner of the webcast page, and your help request will be emailed back to the email address that you provided. And throughout tonight's session, we so encourage you to ask your questions. Please use the question box on the right-hand side of the webcast. It makes my job easier, and that's truly what it's all about. And let's remember to engage on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, tagging Sport Manitoba, and using that hashtag leadership, capital HER. Now, tonight's session features 2 women I'm so proud to join. They are leading the way for others in sport. It's the head coach of the University of Manitoba Bison women's soccer team, Vanessa Martinez Lagunas, and her assistant coach and former star striker of the herd, Bruna Mavignier. They're here to discuss their quest to become high-performance coaches and highlight why we need more female role models in sport, and these 2 ladies capture that. Sport Manitoba, in partnership with Bison Transport, aspire to increase female engagement in sport by providing an informative, inclusive, and inspirational experience throughout this series. Now, none of this, though, is possible without our title sponsor. Here's a look into Bison Transport.
It started when I was a child. I was always amazed by the trucks. And you did the little arm thing and they'd honk at you, and I was just amazed. Thinking, I want to do that. I love the freedom of the highway. And it's not just a man's job anymore. Anyone can do it.
I was in a classroom with 12 men. I was the only woman in that classroom. I was actually told by a couple of instructors that a woman belongs in a truck, but not behind the driver's wheel. I got out of the truck, went to another school, and I actually found a school where they didn't care whether you're a man or a woman. And I got my license. I didn't give up.
Girls can do anything they put their mind to. I would say just do something you love. If driving is what you love, it is a very rewarding career. You really can't change people's minds. They have to change it on their own. You can say, look, I've been doing it for so long. I enjoy it. There's so many women out there. But if they don't have an open mind, you're not going to change theirs.
Women can do whatever they want and put their mindset just like anybody else, like driving a semi is intimidating, but doesn't mean you can't do it. So just gotta put your mind to it, that's all, and be confident.
If society is telling girls to be something different, I would say go against society. Do what you want to do what makes you happy.
Being a woman, you could do anything. There's no boundaries, not anymore. There was back way in the day, before my time. But no, you could do anything.
The only person that's going to stop you from doing it is yourself. So it doesn't matter what society says. If you want to do it, then you do it.
Allison Sandmeyer Graves is now going to join us. She is the CEO at Canadian Women in Sport, the leading voice and authority of women in sport in Canada. And she's going to come on in to bring greetings now and tell us about the latest initiatives that you can expect nationally. Allison, take it away.
Thank you so much, Leah. Hello to everyone watching out there. I'm thrilled to be part of this evening with you. I'm so inspired by that video we just watched because I know that that's the reality for so many women in sport who are pursuing their passions and trying to make change for themselves and for other girls and women beside them and coming up behind them. And for Canadian Women in Sport, that's really what it's all about. We are committed to creating a new sports system that's inclusive and that's equitable and that really empowers women and girls to achieve their full potential within sport and through sport, because we know what a powerful vehicle sport can be. And we truly believe that sport can help to transform society. So we are working right alongside you. We are out there advocating for your needs and your interests in the sports system with governments, with media, with companies, but especially with organizations, the bodies that shape and define sport in this country. We're working to help educate them, to change attitudes, to increase their motivation, to bring that equity, bring that inclusion into what they do, and to give them really great best practices that we are coming from the research. We're hearing them from you, and we're packaging them up and we're saying, here, you want to make a difference, here's what you can do. So first, we're going to show a quick video, another video that I hope will really share with you what motivates us, and then we'll talk about some of the specifics.
On the field, in the pool, at the arena, wherever sport lives, the challenge is there to push the limits, to overcome obstacles, to be better than we were yesterday. That's the power of sport. But for girls, there are additional forces preventing them from playing. Our challenge is to keep girls in the game. Because girls who stay in sport become women who rise to a challenge, achieve their potential, and make the world a better place. Because when inclusion is not just a buzzword, we all benefit. At Canadian Women in Sports, we're leading the charge. We partner with organizations who share our goal because we know we are stronger when we work together. It's time to reimagine our approach to sport. Together, we will change the game, and we will keep girls playing until they become leaders in sport and beyond. Leaders who were once themselves those young girls. On the field, in the pool, and at the arena.
So our work touches on most parts of sport. We're focused, as you saw in the video, on keeping girls in the game so that they can realize those lifelong benefits from sport. But a big part of that is having more women in those key influencer roles, women on the sidelines coaching first and foremost, those authority figures really setting the experience for those girls and themselves living out their passions for sport. Women in those senior decision-making roles as well, as administrators within sport, as board members in sport, as officials in sport, basically wherever women can show up, we want them there, influencing the experience and enriching the experience for others, but also benefiting from it. So what does this look like in real terms? We do a lot of different things, and those of you who have been following us over the years have seen us work in a lot of different spaces. One of the biggest one is knowledge, really helping to deepen people's understanding of what gender equity looks like and what inclusion really looks like within sport. So one example of our work in this respect is e-modules. So there are 2 e-modules that we're partnered with. These are found on the Respect in Sport site, which is where you probably do a lot of your safe sport training as well. And these really help to give a lot of basic understanding, frankly, of these different concepts and how you can apply them in your work. And of course, this isn't just for women, because it's not just about women leading the charge and helping to create new spaces and inclusive spaces for girls and women. It's also about men, and really helping men to become the allies that we need them to be in order to create the change that we're looking for. So if we move to the next slide, another example of this, and one of the ways that we're supporting women and men to be really effective as coaches and as program leaders is through another e-module, again, same platform, called Keeping Girls in Sport. We partnered with Canadian Tire Jumpstart Charities and the Coaching Association of Canada on this module, which really gives a lot of the best practices and the tips and tricks so that those who are coaching girls and women can be really effective in meeting the unique needs and interests of girls and women in that setting. And of course, all of these are eligible for NCC PD points. It's a mouthful. So if you're tracking your points and you're working towards your certifications, these can definitely count. We also work on broad-based campaigns, like the next slide, which shows our She's Got It All campaign. And this is really designed to, frankly, get people thinking about the unique experiences that girls and women have in the sports system and some of the barriers that they come up against that, frankly, men and boys don't, because the system was really built for men and boys, and we're working to ensure that there are these inclusive and welcoming spaces for girls and women. So there's some posters that you may have seen on social media, and they're making their way across the country as we partner with different organizations. And then there's tons of actions that can be taken as well on our yourrole.womeninsport.ca website. Different things coaches can do, administrators, board members, parents. All of these people have enormous influence over the experiences of girls and women in the landscape. Beyond that, we do presentations and we do workshops, working largely with organizations, as you can see on the next slide, to really help to get them taking this best practice and thinking about it more deeply and starting to apply it. And as you can see in the next couple of slides, the first one is same game. We're working with organizations to be really intentional about the work that they do. We're not interested in one-off events or one-off experiences that don't create the lasting change. We want to create a whole new system where, you know, our daughters and our granddaughters will have a fundamentally different experience. And so we're supporting organizations to really think that through, to come up with what is our vision for how women and girls should experience sport in our system. What's our role? What's the role that we can play in that? Let's talk to women and girls, find out what it is in their sport, in our community, that they're really looking for or that they need from us to create a really rewarding and engaging experience in sport. And then to put some plans around that and see it through. Sounds straightforward, but as you know, busy coaches, busy parents, busy organizations, tackling something new, which unfortunately gender equity still is for a lot of people, can be really daunting. And so our aim in support of women and girls is to support organizations to sort of demystify that process and to make it a lot easier to move forward. As you'll see in the next slide, we're getting our hands dirty with some organizations. We're really getting in the mix. And we're even doing audits of organizations, helping them to understand, okay, what's going on in our organization? Where are we at on this whole topic? Where are some of our blind spots, things that we're not thinking about? And what does the best practice say about, you know, based on that, what are the recommendations? And then how can we put our heads together, make some priorities, put some plans together and move it forward. So right now we're doing that work at the national level. We're really looking forward to start working on that provincially to increase the understanding and the commitment to this topic. Finally, we are always thrilled to work directly with women. So as the next slide shows, we're working in partnership with a lot of organizations across Canada, including Sport Manitoba, on Women in Leadership Series. And this is really about supporting women who are committed to volunteering or working in the sports system to have the confidence and the skills and the leadership to move through that career path or that volunteer path, to overcome the challenges that we know show up on that path, and to feel really supported by a network of women around them to do so. So I'm excited to get into the conversation and to hear from Bruna and Vanessa. So I'll leave you with one last slide that if you want to, you can take a quick picture of, but if all else fails, womeninsport.ca, you can find us there. We have videos, we have daily tweets, we have all these resources and connectors that can really help you stay connected to a network of people, not just women, but people across Canada and beyond who share this commitment with us, who are looking for insight. And frankly, there's no better source for insight and information on women in sport than these links here. So I'll turn it back over to Leah so that we can dive into the conversation. And thank you again for the opportunity to join you tonight.
All right, so Alison Sandmeyer-Graves, the CEO at Canadian Women in Sport. Thank you so much, Alison. And I had to write down what Alison mentioned, when inclusion is not just a buzzword. Don't we all want that to be the case going forward in the future? So we just talked a little bit about what's going on through initiatives nationally, but what about here at home in Manitoba provincially? Well, that's why we're going to bring in from Sport Manitoba, the coaching manager, Susan Lambu, to tell us all about it. She's the reason I'm here tonight. Susan, the stage is yours, lady.
Thank you so much, Leah. And I want to say thank you guys for coming out tonight and joining us on our first online session. So you are the guinea pigs tonight, and I thank you so much for being here tonight. I would also like to thank Bison Transport for their continued support of this conference, well, this series for this year. Without their support, we would not be able to offer these kind of initiatives. At Sport Manitoba, we understand the importance of working towards gender equity, and we wanted to share a few of the initiatives that we are currently working on and offering. This past fall, we launched Sport Manitoba Coaching Female Mentorship Program supported by Bison Transport. So thanks again so much to Bison for their support. We currently have 5 amazing mentors working with 6 up-and-coming female coaches. The support they are providing one another through these trying times is incredible. We will be having another intake of applications for mentors and mentees in the spring so we can support more females along their coaching journeys. 2 years ago, we started a Women in Sport Coaching Professional Development Series based upon what is important to the female coaches. 3 times a year, Sport Manitoba gives out a Women to Watch grant to athletes, coaches, and officials to assist them with their continued development in their chosen sport. Last year, we also began a Women in Sport supplemental grant to provide assistance to women who have childcare expenses, which limits their ability to attend professional development opportunities. In the new year, Sport Manitoba is engaging with the Gender Equity Playbook training through the Canadian Women in Sport, thanks to Alison, and so that we can take a look at our own internal processes and programs, and to be able to move to support our external partners as they begin to move towards their gender equity goals as well. So thank you again for coming on tonight and supporting us, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of the session. Back to you, Leah.
All right, Susan, thank you so much for everything you do at Sport Manitoba and what Sport Manitoba does as a governing body. We sure do appreciate it here provincially and beyond. And we're going to have no more further ado. We're going to get to tonight's guests. Let's meet them.
Hi, everyone. I'm Virginia Weinhold, Senior Manager of Maintenance at Bison Transport. It's been really great to see the impact that Bison is making in the industry and in our communities by partnering with inspiring projects like the Sport LeadHERship Conference. Our next 2 speakers tonight have impressive backgrounds in women's soccer. Dr. Vanessa Martinez Laguna is currently a senior instructor and the head coach of the women's soccer team at the University of Manitoba. She is the only female coach in Canada who holds the UEFA Pro Coaching license from the German Soccer Federation and the Canada Soccer National A license. Vanessa's incredible expertise has gained her worldwide acknowledgement, where she has been called upon to educate coaches from over 40 countries and to be a part of the FIFA Technical Study Group, providing expertise for several FIFA Women's World Cups. She was the assistant coach of the university women's national team, which represented Mexico at the World Summer Universiade in Naples, Italy in 2019, as well as for the U17 and U16 German women's national teams. Vanessa had a very successful playing career representing Mexico internationally with the Mexican national women's team and the Mexican national women's university team, as well as the University of Texas at Austin and professionally in Germany for a variety of teams. Vanessa also holds a PhD in sports science with special focus on the physiological demands of women's soccer from the University of Leipzig in Germany, and a Master of Arts and Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology from the University of Texas at Austin. Bruna Mavigné is currently an assistant coach and strength and conditioning coach for the University of Manitoba women's soccer team. While coaching, she is also completing a Master of Science with a focus in exercise physiology and is part of the inaugural youth sports female apprenticeship coach program funded by Sports Canada. Growing up in Brazil, Bruna never played an organized soccer match. She developed her skill set by playing futsal with the boys. She arrived in Canada in 2013 through a Brazilian scholarship, and it didn't take long for her to prove her spot on the University of Manitoba women's soccer team. Playing under head coach Vanessa Martinez Laguna, Bruna led the team in goals and points for her first 2 years. She was in top 3 and top 4 Canada West top scorers in her first and second years. Bruna also led off the field by taking home the team's highest GPA award and completed her undergrad in the Faculty of Kinesiology and Recreation Management with a 4.33 GPA. Welcome, Vanessa and Bruna.
Well, and with that, I feel like a heel here. I forgot to say doctor before I mentioned Vanessa earlier on. So let's bring in Vanessa and Bruna right now. Ladies, please join us. There's Vanessa, there's Bruna. All right. Well, I can't tell you both before I let you speak here. I've never felt more, I listened to both your resumes, and Bruna, what are you? Like, you just came out of the womb practically, and you've already done so much in your life. And then I see what Vanessa has accomplished as well. I've never felt so unaccomplished. So with that, ladies, please educate us, inform us, and let us figure out what we're doing with our lives, because you both seem to have it together. Vanessa and Bruna, take it away.
Thank you so much, Leah. We're so excited to be here. We want to thank everybody for the kind introductions. And of course, this is an absolute honor to have the opportunity to share our stories with you. And we want to thank Bison Sport and Sport Manitoba for giving us this opportunity. We are going to share a few slides first, where Bruna and I are going to explain some more details about ourselves. We're going to share our personal story through sport and through life. Also, we are going to explain some of the strategies that have helped us to get to where we are at today. And in the last slides, we're going to share with you our favorite motivational quote. And I am very, very excited to share this with you. Bruna, would you like to say something?
I just want to say good night, everyone. And I'm really thankful to be here tonight. And I'm just really glad everyone is here watching us. And I hope you have fun.
Awesome, thank you. So we will start with the slides. And then after we finish with sharing the slides, we're going to be available for question and answers. So Devan, if you could show the first slide, please, that would be great. Thank you so much. So here, we would like to show how Bruna and I wear different hats. We are not only a player or a coach, but we have different roles that we love and different passions that we put into practice. Of course, Leah already mentioned a few of them. So I had the big honor to be a player, to play at 3 different levels, at the international level, representing Mexico, at the professional level and at the university level. As a coach, I became the first Latin American woman to obtain the UEFA Pro license through the German Federation, and I had to learn German in order to do that. So when I saw the video from Bison Transport, it really reminded me that feeling that if you want to achieve something, you can do it. Many people told me at that time that that was impossible, that I shouldn't pursue that. But I said, of course I can do it. I really want to do this, and I want to prove that I can do it. So I was able to learn the language, and I was able to obtain that license, which is considered the highest license worldwide. And then I also have a big passion for coach education. So coaching and teaching are my two biggest passions. And I've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to go to many countries and help both men and women that are coaching in women's football, in women's soccer, to learn more about the details of coaching females, because it's very different than coaching males. So I have had the opportunity to work with FIFA, which is the World or the International Football Association, and UEFA and CONCACAF are confederations. UEFA is the European Confederation, and the CONCACAF Confederation covers the regions of North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. So this is the confederation where Canada belongs to. And finally, I also have a really, really big passion for academics. And that's why I went all the way to finish a PhD, which is a marathon. You know, I don't regret it. It was a fantastic experience. It made me a better person, and of course, also a better professional. And I can use sports science now to help our athletes achieve their highest potential. My research was also focused on the women's game, specifically on the physical and the physiological demands of women's soccer. But also you can see on the left side at the top, you can see my social media accounts. If you would like to follow, or you have more questions that maybe we don't get to answer today, please feel free to reach out to me there. I am on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and my handle is Vane Martinez Lack. And now I would like to pass the word to Bruna.
All right, you can go to the next slide, Devin. Okay, again, good night, everyone. Just really thankful for being here, and then thank you everyone to be watching here us tonight. Different from Vanessa, I don't have that extensive background as a coach. I just started my career as a coach, and currently I am assistant coach and assistant strength and conditioning coach for the University of Manitoba Bison soccer team, women's soccer team. And yes, as was said in the video, I am from Brazil. I just moved to Canada in 2013. And mainly I moved here to pursue my dream to play soccer and become just be involved in soccer, which has been my dream since I was a very young kid. In the next slides, I'll tell you a little bit more about my story. But yes, you can go to the next slide, Evan.
Awesome, thank you, Bruna. And now I will move to share a little bit about my personal story. So it can be told in 4 different phases in 4 different countries. As you heard before, I'm originally from Mexico. In the first column, you can see a picture of my parents and I when I was probably just a few months old. And I need to thank them very much for all their love and all their support, because without them, of course, first, I wouldn't be here. And second, I wouldn't be where I am today without everything they have done for me, especially when I was young. Of course, I grew up in Mexico, which at that time, it was still a very macho-dominated society. So for a young girl to play soccer at that time, it was not very well seen. So instead of them telling me not to do that, because they saw that I really, really like it, They told me, Vanessa, if you want to do that, you can do it. We will support you. I actually started playing soccer at the age of 10, so I didn't start that young. And I started because of my brother, Miguel. And he's only about a year and a half younger than me. And he's the one who brought me to the game and really helped me to fall in love with the game. He and his friends invited me to play. We grew up playing at a local park close to our home, basically playing pickup games or street football, street soccer. There was no organized sport or soccer for girls at that time. There were no teams for girls, no teams for women. The only way I could play was if I would play with the boys. And my brother and his friends were the allies that Allison was mentioning before. You know, we cannot do it without the men and without the boys. They need to help us to get involved in sport. And I need to be very thankful with my brother because he did that for me. And then from playing on the streets, playing on the local parks, my ascension to the highest level of the game went very fast. Of course, playing with boys really benefited my game and helped me to learn many things that potentially I would have not learned it if I had played only with girls. And at the age of 16, I was identified to play for the Mexican national team. Also, a big part of my development was played through university and through schools. So through school soccer and through university soccer. In Mexico, I joined a private university called Tecnológico de Monterrey. And I obtained a full athletic scholarship. And I think I became the first female athlete that received a full scholarship in this university. And that was a big deal at that time. And then from that, I moved on to the next stage of my career, and I wanted to get challenged. Basically, in Mexico, I had achieved already the highest level, both athletically and academically. I was playing already for the national team. I was playing for the national champion university team, and I wanted to get a bigger challenge. So I started looking at the opportunity to move to the US, and I was able to get accepted to the University of Texas, and I was able to play there for the university team, the Longhorns, and also continue my education. I finished my bachelor's degree in kinesiology at the University of Texas. Basically, I started in Mexico for about 2 years, and then I transferred to Texas to complete my undergraduate degree. And that was a fantastic experience. In Texas is where my passion or my interest for coaching started. And it started because I started looking at what my coach was doing, and I wanted to understand why he was doing what he was electing to do, the different methods and training exercises he was using. I wanted to learn more about it. So I got really interested. He encouraged me to take some coaching courses and work summer camps every year I could. So that's how I got started in coaching. Also, I got started in coach education in Texas. I got invited to do some coach education courses for the South Texas Soccer Association. So that's where both my coaching passion and coaching education passion started. And then after being about 5 years in the US, again, I wanted another challenge. I had already been for several years in another great country where women's soccer was, very high, one of the powerhouses basically in the world. And I wanted another option, another challenge. So I started looking at options, and the other big powerhouse of women's football, women's soccer, was Germany, and it still continues to be. So I started to look at options, and again, as I mentioned before, I always like to combine athletics and academics at the same time and with excellence. And that's what it opened the door for me to move to Europe. I was able to get a scholarship from the Mexican government to study my PhD in Germany at the University of Leipzig. And that's how I was able to finance my move to Europe through soccer at that time. Although I was going to play professional, I would have not been able to pay for my move there because at the professional level, still the salaries were very low, the support was very low. But having already a base, a scholarship, an academic scholarship, and then having some supplemental income from my professional playing is what allowed me to be there for several years. And then I continue doing my coach education. You can see at the bottom of the screen in the German column. When I did my UEFA Pro license, I had the fantastic opportunity to do an internship with a men's professional team of the second Bundesliga, FC Energie Cottbus. And that was life-changing for me because it really allowed me to see that, experience the men's game and see that, you know, we women can do many things the same, you know, that we're not that different as our society makes us think. And then also it allowed me to show that if you work hard, if you have the knowledge, if you have the passion and you can transfer that passion to the players, they respect you. And I was so thankful to have that opportunity in Germany. The players, the coaches, everybody in the club were so respectful, and they were so inclusive, and they welcomed me, and it really provided me an amazing environment of growth. And also, I think the coaching staff realized that it was very useful also to have the women's perspective in different points of view. So I think definitely both genders complement each other. And I think in the future, what it will be ideal at some point, or I hope that in my lifetime I could see that, is that in the future, you are not judged by your gender, you know, where you can coach, but that those opportunities are given based on knowledge and experience, not by the gender. Right now, the standard is for men to coach women, and it's very difficult, almost impossible for a woman to coach men. So I hope that in the future we can change that, and both genders could go either way based on their knowledge and experience, and especially how they are able to adapt their coaching based on the players that they are working with, because it's very different to work with women, with men, or with young players and adult players. And finally, the last stage is, of course, my move to Canada, which I am so thankful for the opportunity. Just like Bruna, I moved here in 2013, basically just a few months after I finished my UEFA Pro license through the German Federation. I heard about the opportunity here in Canada of the coaching position here at the University of Manitoba. I did a lot of research about the country, about the province, about the university, and I realized that it was an amazing soccer paradise, and of course a great country, and I was not mistaken. The university definitely has invested a lot in the last few years to improve the facilities, to improve the support for their female sports, and I am so thankful that they gave me the opportunity to coach this team. And it's a great honor for me to have the opportunity to impact the lives of some of these young women that are going to become great leaders in the future. As an athlete, as a player, in my whole playing career, I never had a female coach. As you can see, I was in 4 different countries, or 3 different countries before I arrived in Canada. And through my whole span of over 20 years of playing, I never saw a female coach. So there were times that I was asking myself if women could be coaches, because I had never seen one. So I think it's very important that young girls see it so that they can become it. That's why we need more female coaches, more female role models in many different areas in society, so that the girls can dream and can think they can become that person in the future. Okay, Bruna, your turn.
All right, so we can go to the next slide. All right, so my journey with soccer is not as long as Vanessa's, and it also only involves 2 countries, and is not as rich, but I'm hoping one day I'll get there. But anyways, I started, as was said in the video, I started playing futsal, which is a variation of soccer. I started when I was really young, and similar to Vanessa's story, I started playing only with boys because like there was no girls team in my school for that age. I started playing soccer because my dad was a big like soccer lover. He would watch soccer every weekend, like, and I would just watch with him all the time. So that's how I started loving the game. And like in young ages, I already like faced a lot of hard time like to be able to play the sport I love, because back in Brazil there was not many opportunities, and then as Vanessa said, it was not very well seen women playing soccer or futsal. But my family was always very supportive of me, and they like fought for me to keep playing. And yeah, like here I am, thankful, really thankful for my family. So I started playing futsal, and then when I got to university, I started playing, still in Brazil, I started playing in a semi-professional team. Those are the pictures over there are from that team, which was like in a really high level. At that moment, my team was one of the best 3 teams in the nation. So it was like a great experience. And then you can go to the next slide. And then in 2013, I moved to Canada. And as was said, I had never played soccer before. Everything I knew was from futsal. And I was like a little scared because I was like, oh my God, like I want to keep playing the sport I love, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do well because although it's like very similar, the field is very different because it's a lot bigger and it's turf. Futsal is a gym floor. So I was very concerned, but then I contacted Vanessa, which was the head coach. She just arrived in Canada as well. And I told her about my story, and then she was so supportive. And then she's like, come here, do a tryout. I will see how you do. And then I came, I did a tryout, and then I did well. And then played all my 5 years with the University of Manitoba Bisons. I had, as was said, I had great moments, like probably the best moments of my life, but also had not as good moments, I would say. I faced many injuries during my 5 years, but well, they just made me stronger. Like I learned a lot from that, made me a very resilient person. And that those injuries definitely helped me to become the coach I am today, I would say. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So then, yes, I played all my 5 years, and then my last year I was really sad because my career as a player was done. But then I was like, oh my God, I still need to be involved in the sport I love and in the team I love, because made many friends in the team. And then Vanessa, as my coach, also became my friend. So it was like, I still want to be involved, right? And then I also like did my degree in kinesiology, and I always had a passion for strength and conditioning. So I talked to Vanessa, and then she said, hey, like, come be assistant coach for us, and then you can go on the field and do some like strength and conditioning stuff with the girls. You can do like speed, agility, you can work on injury prevention. And then I also like was able to like help the head strength and conditioning coach with a few tasks at the gym for the girls as well. So then, yeah, in 2019 was my first year as assistant coach for the Bisons. And then this year I participated in the U Sport Female Apprentice Coach Program, which is a great initiative from U Sport that definitely helped me to keep myself as a coach and be involved in the game, not only because of financial support, but just because it's a mentorship program, right? So like Vanessa is my mentor, and then she has been like for this past like I started in September. For this past like 3 to 4 months, I've learned so much. I've learned a lot because she's always giving me new tasks, and then she is always like give me opportunity to like practice my coaching skills on the field, right? So yeah, that's pretty much my journey with soccer. You can go to the next slide.
Thank you so much, Bruna. And I just need to add that, of course, you are very young, and you are going to become an amazing coach. And at the age that you have, I had not coached at the level that you are coaching already. So you're well ahead of the mentor, and I'm so proud of you. So now we're going to share some strategies that have helped us in our careers. And I would like to share 5 with you that have helped me tremendously. The first one that you see on the left on your screen is focusing on holistic development. I have always believed that you have to find a balance. You have to try to develop in many areas in your life, not only on one of them. So of course, we all know about the mental, the emotional, the physical components of life. But if I am more specific, I will say I love to combine, as I said, academics with athletics, with music or cultural activities. Also, community service is very important. And the other one that has been crucial for me is learning languages. And I try to encourage our athletes, our student athletes, and young people that I meet and friends to encourage themselves and encourage their kids in the future to have that holistic development and really work on those areas at the same time. It really helps you to become a better person. Strategy number 2 is the one that you see below, and this has always been my mantra. Dream big. Dream big. Don't let anybody stop you. Even if people say that's impossible, you show them that you can do it. I have always been a very competitive person, and usually when somebody tells me you can do it, it motivates me even more to show that I can. So that's a big one for me. Then the next strategy is about taking on responsibility. It doesn't depend on anybody else, your parents, your coaches, your teachers, your friends. It's about you really making that decision of putting the work that it takes to get where you want to be. So you need to make the first move. You need to make the contacts. You need to find the resources that you need to do what you have to do, but take that responsibility and don't give it to anybody else. Then number 4 is about having core values. And here, of course, I have to thank my parents and my family for really installing these values at a very early age in me. And I use an acronym. It's called P+D+T+I=E. The P stands for passion. I am very passionate in everything I do. D stands for development, and basically it talks about that holistic development that I mentioned. T is about teamwork, because you cannot achieve anything alone. You always have to work with people, and you have to be able to collaborate to achieve even bigger things. I stands for integrity, always doing the right thing. Even when people are not watching, everywhere at all times, making the right decisions and doing the right thing. And then E stands for excellence, and it's a combination of those 4 core values before that help you to be excellent in every aspect of your life. And finally, a big one as well, very important in my career, just as Bruna, I have had amazing mentors throughout my life and throughout my career. I encourage you to find that mentor. Usually people are very open to, share their experiences. Of course, you have to be very respectful of their time. Usually they just do it to help you out. You, again, need to be very proactive. You need to reach out. You need to follow through your promises, or whatever you agree to do, you need to do it, so that person that you really look up to keeps helping you. As I mentioned, I have had many, but if I will give you an example, someone that I really look up to, her name is Pia Sonhage. She was a former player from Sweden, national team player, has coached many national teams now, started in China, then coached in the US, won 2 gold medals with the US national team, She then went back to coach in Sweden, and now she's coaching Bruna's home country, Brazil. I've told Bruna that very soon Brazil might become a world champion or Olympic medalist, because Pia is a fantastic coach and a fantastic person, and she has helped me a lot throughout my career, and many of the things that I've learned from her. So yeah, in summary, those are the 5 main strategies that I wanted to share with you. Bruna, I pass the word to you now.
Right, if you can go to the next slide. Okay, so mine strategies are pretty similar to Vanessa, but the main one is just like passion and love for soccer or for whatever you do, right? I feel like having love for what you do is an intrinsic motivator. So like doesn't matter like obstacles or whatever you face, you're just gonna keep going because you love it so much. So that's what got me here. It's just so much passion for this sport. And then it's just like values in general, right? Like as Vanessa said, she has her values, and for me a big one is just like being kind. Like I feel like in the world today, like kindness like takes you to places. Just like being a good teammate, being a good athlete, being like a good person in general, like made me to come, and then like from like being an athlete, maybe to become a coach, and then maybe build good relationships with like my coaches, my athletes, and then just my colleagues. And then like the big one here, I would say making connections. And since my example with Vanessa is a big one from the beginning, we were always like connected. I did my internship with her in my early years with the Bison, so that was like a big thing to keep me in the coaching like mode for after when my soccer career as a player would be over. So, and then also making connections with my like colleagues at in my undergrad degree, and then also like just with the community in general, right? Like the soccer community here in Manitoba is not as big as in Brazil, but it's still big enough. And then I try to make as much connections as possible with like youth clubs, and then yeah, especially like with youth clubs. And then people, it's gonna know your name, they're gonna know your job, and then they're gonna give you jobs, and they're gonna want to have you, right? So all of those things, I guess, are my strategy to take me to where I am right now. You can go to the next one.
Thank you, Bruna. And to finish, both Bruna and I are going to share with you our favorite motivational quote. Mine is this one that you see on the screen. It says, "The vision of a champion is someone who is bent over, drenched in sweat, at a point of exhaustion when no one else is watching." This quote is from Anson Dorrance, one of the best university coaches in the United States in the NCAA. He coaches the University of North Carolina and also coached the first World Cup team of the US in 1991, winning the first ever Women's World Cup. And he wrote this quote to Mia Hamm, one of the greatest female players so far, that the game has seen. And Mia was working on her own. It was an early morning. She was working at a local park. Anson was driving to his office, and he saw this person running back and forth, doing really high intensity runs very early in the morning. So he got closer and realized that it was one of his players. It was Mia Hamm doing those extra runs to become the best player she could be. And she had already told Anson that she wanted to become the best player in the world. And it didn't happen, by magic. She worked for it. So Anson wrote that quote to her, and then she published that quote in a book she wrote. And this quote has motivated me since I was a young player, and I still use it. I share it with my players as well. And of course, my question for the audience is, who are you when no one else is watching? This is basically the best measure of your character. And it's really important to keep that work, all the time, and not only when it matters or when you think when it matters, because all the time and making that a habit is what it takes you to greatness. All right, Bruna.
From Vanessa, I don't have a specific favorite quote, but I was reading a book this past days from Daniel Chidiac. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but this book was great. And then I came across this quotes: "We all fall down, but not everyone picks themselves up. Never give up." And I just really liked it because looking through my whole soccer journey, I faced so many adversities since being a little kid, not being able to play soccer because it was just for boys. But I had to fight, and then I was able to because I didn't give up. And then with like the Bison, so many injuries that I faced, like especially my second, my third, and my fourth year, it was like all about injuries. But a lot of people would have given up, but I was there, and then I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna give up. I did everything I could. And then in my fifth year, I came back a lot stronger. Like I had a great season. And that's what's about in sports, right? Like you learn about adversity, and then you learn about not giving up. So yes, that's my favorite quote for the moment. And that's it.
All right, Vanessa, Bruna, how fabulous was that? You guys were just excellent. And of course, with all of that insight and information, we do have questions coming your way. But before we do that, let's go to our title sponsor from Bison Transport and learn a little bit more about them once again.
So I was at the top of the track, and you can just see going into corner one, it dives down, and you can't see anything else. And you just know, okay, this is going to be intense. And went down. It felt like I got thrown around in a garbage can. That's the best way I can describe it. And just the pressures are really, really tough, and they just drag you down to the bottom of the sled. You can't see anything. We'll have the maple leaf there. Nice. With our number. Or is it number maple leaf? Something like that. Yeah. You never know what you're going to be great at until you actually try everything. And just because there's maybe not socially accepted to do something, it doesn't matter. You got to still try that because, it could bring you to the Olympics, or it could bring you to wherever you need to go, and you're going to be really happy.
Bison Transport, we thank you so much for being our title sponsor, the first session of 5 here with Sport Manitoba in the Sport LeadHERship Series, Female Coaches Path to Success. So I'm going to get Vanessa and Bruna to pop back up on the screen here, unmute their mics, and come and join me in the video so we can see both of them. Ladies, wonderful presentation. I learned so much about the both of you and your journeys, and we have asked people to ask questions throughout this session. They have done so, so we're going to get to a few of their questions, but I'm gonna be selfish, and I'm going to start with one of mine because I have a few things that I picked up from that presentation that I wanted to chat about. One of the things that Allison mentioned earlier on when she spoke was about that as women, because this is a male-dominated area in the coaching fraternity, that we need them to not, I don't like the word help, we need their support. We need them to understand what they can do to help take away some of the barriers. So Vanessa, I'm going to start with you just because you've had a longer career in coaching here, and perhaps what do your male colleagues need to know that they can help you to be beneficial in removing some of the barriers for female coaches?
Yes, thanks for the question, Leah. I think that's crucial, and we need the men, we need the boys. Both genders need to help each other to bring sport to everybody and make sport inclusive. They can help us by being patient, by understanding, some of the barriers that we women face, because of course, for years, and society has always put the care of the children to the women, right? And balancing sometimes work and sport and school and everything you want to do can be very overwhelming and can be very difficult. So if our male colleagues, could show that understanding and just more support for the women, that would be great. I've been throughout my coach education through the courses. Usually I was the only female or maybe two in a room of 40 men, so definitely can be overwhelming. It can be challenging at times, but I can tell you that I also had great colleagues that helped me. And because of them, I stayed in the game, so they can play a huge role in changing the life of a young girl. And basically they can be the takers of the dreams of a young girl, so I hope that, the men and the boys that are listening now, just like my brother did when I was a young girl, he encouraged me to join rather than say, oh no, you're a girl, you cannot play. He said, come on, Vanessa, don't stay on the sidelines, come and join us. So we need those boys and we need those men that encourage the women to get into sports. And also we need the women to be brave, and sometimes if you experience difficult situation, just like Bruna said, don't give up, keep fighting for your dream. And I hope that in the future we can create, not only a coaching fraternity, because that's more male dominated, but we can create also a coaching sorority, which is a community of women networking, helping each other, learning from each other in sports and in all the other areas that are currently male dominated.
Yeah, Vanessa, I so love that. We were chatting offline, and just the fact that you said, I said coaching fraternity and you said coaching sorority back to me. And that is honestly the first time I've heard that. And, it's so important. And Bruno, I'm going to turn to you now, because the fact is that as women, because it is still a fraternity in coaching, it is so important when you do have success, like Vanessa's had, to send that elevator back down and to pick those women up and bring them back to the top with you. And Bruna, that's what's happened with your mentorship with Vanessa. And I'm just wondering, along with the youth sports apprenticeship program, what have you learned so early in your coaching career that makes you want to keep going and have that passion you spoke of?
But as I said, Vanessa has been a great mentor, and then she has been teaching me a lot. Most of the things that I've learned was from her, because that's most the role model I got here, right? So something that I really learned was what Vanessa said, study and play, and then that's something that we need to connect academics and sports. Because I came here and I was like, Vanessa, I want to be a soccer player. I want to play soccer. My dream is be a soccer player. And they said awesome, I will help you with your dream. I will do whatever I can, but don't forget to have a plan B, and then go there and study as well, right? So she pushed me to study, to do my master's, to do a coaching license. And then it's something that I learned from her that I want to pass to my players. It's also just motivating them to become coaches, female coaches, right? Because what Vanessa does a lot, and I've seen a lot, is that she watches everyone and then she sees potentials in many players that she has. And then she goes that, and then she motivates them, pushes them to become leaders as well. And then from becoming leaders, become coaches. So that's one thing I've learned, and then I want to pass to my athletes. It's just hey, be a leader. And then if you see the type of play you have, become a coach, because we need more female coaches as role models.
And I'm just going to stick with you here, Bruna, for a second, because there is a question. And one of the questions is, Vanessa has stated that men coaching women is the standard. But here we have two female coaches that are coaching women's soccer at the University of Manitoba. How fabulous is that? But as a female, how do you think it helps you to relate to your female athletes as a coach?
Yeah, actually, I was thinking a lot about this, and then I just I was thinking about my whole journey as a soccer player, right? And then I struggled so much because like back home in Brazil, as I said, there was no support for women's soccer. And then I come here to Canada, and although there's still a lot to improve, it was a lot better. So like seeing all those girls having like such a great program behind them, because Bisons have such a great program, right? And then going there on the field and seeing them every day working so hard, and then going through injuries, but not giving up, just working hard, and then doing whatever they can to be their best. And then of course trying to manage studies with like academics with soccer. And then I just watched them, and I was just like, they just wants me to help them and then keep going, and then just try to like do my best to see them performing their best and then be happy on the field. So like I feel like that's very rewarding for me.
Bruna, I can see you getting emotional there, which just shows how much passion you have for this. And Vanessa, to see that, I want to pose the same question to you. As a female and someone who's played the game and now coaching the game, how has being a woman helped you connect to your female athletes?
I think it's a great advantage. Basically, you know, Bruna and I have been on the shoes of our players. We know what they go through. You know, also women, we experience physiologically many different things that the men don't experience. And sometimes male coaches might not understand that, you know, and we can be very specific, for example, about the menstrual cycle and the mood changes, you know, that go along. So I think it's very important that Bruna and I are women, that we have been there, that we know, we go through it, and we can relate to them. You know, we have been on their shoes. We know how difficult it is to bring everything under control in one plate, and I think that really helps us. And you know, we love to connect with them. We love to get to know each one of them better, not only on the field but off the field as well. And I think that's a huge advantage that we have.
And this is another question from one of our audience members tonight, and they would like to know, how do we get our female teenage students more involved in sports programming? And I think that's really interesting, because earlier on, you know, one of the things that Bruna mentioned was the fact that with the apprentice program is that it helps her financially. And, you know, the economic and equity of women in sport is something that really pushes women out very quickly. And so I'm wondering your thoughts on that, Vanessa, how we get, you know, especially perhaps maybe at a younger age, how we can get women into the programming and then keep them there.
Yeah, what a great question, Leah. I think that's the meat of this topic right now. You know, definitely these type of programs, you know, that provide financial support for young women interested in coaching are crucial to first attract them. And then we also need to make sure that universities, clubs, all the organizations involved in sport really value the work of women, because sometimes, you know, it just feels that they want women to do the work for free. You know, when you have, you know, family, million of tasks that you need to combine plus a sport. So sometimes that financial barrier is what keeps women away from sport, you know, because it's impossible to do everything. So I think that's definitely something that has helped us and helped us to retain Bruna, you know, and of course we want to keep building opportunities so that we can continue to retain her. But that happens all over the world. And just imagine, you know, just that people in our audience has a clear idea of what is happening. Overall, in the whole world and in Canada, in each country, there are already a lot more male sports than female sports. But then women compete only on the female sports side. But from those positions on the female sports side, about 85% or more of those positions are already taken by males. So women end up getting, you know, a very, very small piece of the pie. And every time is more difficult and more difficult. So I think we really need organizations to create this type of programs, scholarships also for young female student athletes to take coaching courses, because the coaching courses are extremely expensive. And if they don't get some type of support and they cannot earn money from coaching, where are they going to get that money from? You know, so then we don't get them there. We don't get the qualified coaches that we need. So I think there are many factors to consider, but I think this type of mentorship programs, scholarship programs, emphasizing also the social aspect of the sport and the physical benefits of a sport can really, really help us to keep girls and coaches and women in the different roles in sport.
Yes, and Bruna, I want to go back to the fact when you were speaking in your presentation, you said, I want to play soccer. I want to play professional soccer. And Vanessa kind of said, yes, but let's remember the plan B. The plan B, very early on in your life, if you would have seen it more, because that's why representation matters, is that you could be a coach. Now, would it help, do you believe, being a coach now at a young age? Would it help to see these women? Do you really believe, because we talk about representation mattering, but do you believe if you would have seen that earlier on, that then maybe not just being a soccer player would have been in your mind, but here's another avenue, here's another path for me in sport?
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Yeah, definitely. Like, I came here, the last thing I wanted to be was a coach. Like, that was never like my dream. And Vanessa knows, she was always pushing me to be a coach. And I was like, it's not exactly what I want. And then after like all this presentation, seeing all this conversation, I started to realize, whoa, maybe I never want to be a coach, because I grew up just seeing male coaches. Like literally, like I watched soccer my whole life. I'm like love watching soccer. Never seen a female coach, never. Like in high level soccer. And then in my whole life, I only had, besides Vanessa, I only had one female coach, but she was more like a friend, and the team was more recreational. So like all my coaches were male. So like now I'm thinking like maybe that's why I never wanted to be a coach. But then thank God Vanessa was supporting me, and then she made me try it, and then I tried, and I was like, oh, actually, I actually like this. I actually really like this. And especially like it's training conditioning, like, which is a type of being a coach as well, right? So I always was passionate about that, but as a soccer coach, I was never passionate, but I definitely developed my passion.
No, absolutely. And I'm going to put you guys a little bit on a spot right now. You're going to have to talk about each other in front of each other. And I know sometimes, people don't like to do that, but I'm going to make you. So, Bruna, since I have you right now, I'm going to ask you, now that you are a coach and you're in the shoes of a coach, and you can look at Vanessa not just as an athlete, but as a colleague, what makes her such a strong coach?
Well, like, that's actually really easy, because I've never seen such a hardworking person as Vanessa. Like, when I was an athlete, we like with my teammates, we used to joke, I don't think Vanessa sleeps or eats, because she's always always 24/7 fighting for the team, and then finding solutions, finding more money for the program. And then she's such a hard worker. Oh my goodness. So like, I feel like that's like her main quality. And then I guess because that comes with her passion, right? She's so passionate for soccer, and then all her journey that she went through like made her this amazing coach. And definitely that's the one, like how much she fights from the team for her team.
All right, Vanessa, I'm going to turn it around on you and ask you, I know she's still learning, but I think there's so much potential just from speaking to her for 10 minutes. You can tell that what makes Bruna, and what is going to continue to make Bruna a valuable coach in the coaching sorority.
Well, first of all, I will tell you that Bruna is going to become one of the best female coaches in the world. I see that happening. And what I love from Bruna, it's her resilience, right? So she mentioned that, never giving up. She definitely faced very difficult injuries, and it could have been very easy for her just to walk away from the game and give up. But she stayed there. She kept that grit, to keep fighting. And she's such an amazing role model for the team, I love to see her, she has that passion, that love for the game, that even still now, when she's coaching the girls and we're doing the physical training exercises, basically the high intensity runs, she's doing it with them. She's doing the runs with them, and sometimes she's ahead of everybody else. So you're like, oh my gosh, that's the true passion for the game. It's again that figure, right? Like Mia Hamm. doing the work, and she's also an amazing hard worker. Even when she, right now is pursuing more the coaching path, she continues training as hard as she was doing, or probably harder than she was doing when she was a player. And I think that's an amazing example for our girls, and really shows them that, she works when nobody else is watching. And that's what makes her a great player, a great person, and a fantastic coach now and in the future.
Absolutely. And you both shared your two favorite motivational quotes with us, and just listening to both of you talk, I think of one of mine, and that's, without passion, true greatness cannot be achieved. So I think you are both tremendous representations of, that passion and what it can do to bring you to such a high level and high performance level within coaching. Vanessa Martina Lagunas, Bruna Mavignier, this has been my absolute pleasure to get to know you, get to hear both of your stories. I wish you nothing but continued success as you go on. We do have a little bit more housekeeping here. I'm just going to tell everybody that our second session is going to be December 16th. It's called Leveling the Playing Field, with high performance athletes, including Olympic bronze medalist swimmer Chantal Van Landekam. I should get that. She was a sports star of mine back when I worked at CTV. I still can't say her name well. World Junior Champion and Pan Am Games silver medalist in Taekwondo, Skylar Park, and national team member, the first female to play in the Manitoba Junior Baseball League. That would be Brittany Langless. They are going to be joining us for our second session. Now, don't forget, we have a Zoom networking session after we sign off. Take a break, grab a glass of wine, then come back. The Zoom link can be found in your confirmation email or at www.sportmanitoba.ca/leadership. This has been an absolute pleasure. As I said, I just want to thank Susan Lambu from Sport Manitoba, the coaching manager there, for getting myself involved and for bringing us all together tonight for this session. Alison Sandmeyer-Graves, the Canadian Women in Sport, what they are doing on a national level. Keep churning, ladies. We need you so much. We need to get those dollars. We need to get that sponsorship money. Vanessa and Bruna, thank you again, ladies. And most of all, to our title sponsor tonight, because this does not happen without Bison Transport. So thank you so much to Bison Transport, female coaches, path to success. It's our first session in a virtual series of 5 at the Sport LeadHERship Series. I am your host, Leah Hextall. We are signing off. Jump back on for that Zoom networking session. Once again, Vanessa, Bruna, thank you, ladies, and thank you to everyone for joining us here tonight. Take care.